Listen, June is your last clean planting window. If you miss it, you're going to be right back in that exact same frustrating cycle next April. So let's jump straight into this, because what we're looking at today in this explainer is a completely different way to approach your yard. Here is the big secret the garden center absolutely does not want you to know. There is an entire category of flowering plants engineered over thousands of years of Japanese woodland gardening that literally find their own soil, drop their own seeds, and return every single spring. They are incredibly cold hardy, they are completely self-sufficient, they're just spreading quietly beneath the surface while you sleep. I'm going to walk you through 11 of them right now and exactly which hardiness zones they perform best in.
Designed to fail. Just think about the primroses you see lined up at those big box stores. You pay premium prices, you bring them home, they look spectacular for, maybe 2 weeks, and then they just completely rot out in the summer heat. Well, that's the annual primrose. It is bred specifically for those temporary retail displays because the industry relies on you coming back to replace it. But the Japanese primrose, that is a completely different biological organism.
We need to stop wasting $8 a pot every April on plants that literally vanish. The Japanese primrose, or Primula japonica, thrives in the exact conditions that defeat almost everything else you've ever tried to plant. Wet soil, stream banks, those annoying low spots in your yard that just hold water after a heavy rain, partial to full shade. That is exactly where this perennial reaches its biological peak.
It does this thing called candelabra blooming. Picture this. You've got multiple rings of deep magenta, soft pink, or pure white flowers stacked vertically on a single stem, reaching 18 to 24 inches tall. It looks so architecturally deliberate. And it's hardy in zones 4 through 8. The crazy part? A single established colony produces thousands of seeds that naturally stratify in the winter cold and just germinate in early spring. You plant it once, the colony doubles, then it triples, completely filling a wet shaded bank you probably thought was totally unusable.
Okay, let's move to plant number 2, the Japanese anemone, and see how this actually builds your garden's financial value. In September and October, right when every other perennial in your yard is completely shutting down, this plant is launching its peak performance. We're talking stems reaching 3 to 4 feet tall, swaying in the autumn breeze. It spreads through underground stolons, these horizontal roots that travel out and establish brand new crowns. It's hardy in zones 4 through 8 in well-draining soil. Now, it starts a little slow, but it aggressively spreads by year 3. You plant 3 of them, you dig up 12. Because of how it multiplies, a single initial investment transforms into $60 to $100 in free plant capital. The compounding math gets even better with plant 3, Japanese forest grass. This is actually the only ornamental grass on our list, and it's hardy in zones 5 through 9. It produces these amazing cascading mounds of gold and green foliage that literally flow downhill like slow-moving water. In the shade, it looks like it's glowing. It catches available light and amplifies it. You divide it every 3 years, and a single mature clump yields $90 to $150 in free plants. It is a permanent, living asset. Plant number 4 is the Japanese bleeding heart. Hardy in zones 3 through 9, it produces perfectly formed, arching pink and white hearts in April and May. But listen to me, here is the absolutely crucial point. By midsummer, the foliage yellows and completely vanishes. Every single gardener who doesn't know this assumes the plant is dead and they dig it up. Do not touch it. The root system is completely dormant underground. The plant hasn't died, it is just resting through the summer heat, exactly as it was biologically programmed to do. Leave it alone and it will return right on schedule every single spring. Now compare our early spring primrose with plant number 5, the Japanese toad lily. If you have deep, dry shade under mature trees, which, let's be honest, is the absolute hardest place to grow anything, this is your answer. In zones 4 through 9, it bridges that awkward autumn gap, blooming in September and October. And the flowers? They're small, less than an inch across, but they are structurally complex. They look like a tropical orchid with pale lavender petals and deep purple spots. It is an absolute showstopper, and yes, it self-seeds freely. Coming in at number 6 is the Japanese iris. Look, most iris varieties give you maybe 1 good week of bloom. This one gives you 3 to 4 weeks in June and July, and it has a massive moisture advantage. Hardy in zones 4 through 9, it actually performs better with wet feet. Pond edges, rain gardens, those low drainage nightmares in your yard, while everything else you plant there just rots, the Japanese iris thrives. It spreads out through rhizome expansion and literally turns your yard's biggest drainage problem into its most dramatic feature. So we're 6 plants in, and if you're taking notes right now, you aren't just a casual viewer. You're someone who is building a real permanent yard that pays for itself in plant capital and time saved. We publish this level of specific, zone-accurate content in these explainers all the time, real systems that actually work. So hit subscribe right now so the algorithm keeps showing you these actual, actionable garden blueprints. Don't let this content disappear from your feed.
Okay, let's look at plant number 7. I actually mentioned this one earlier. I want you to picture this. There is frost on the lawn, the ground is freezing cold, your neighbors' yards are completely brown and dormant. What blooms in February?
The Japanese winter hazel. Guys, this is extraordinary. Before a single leaf has appeared on any branch, this shrub produces cascading chains of soft yellow flowers. Just bare brown stems completely covered in pale gold. It is the absolute first sign of life in the garden. It's hardy in zones 5 through 8, and it reaches about 4 to 6 feet over many years. This isn't just filler, it's a permanent structural investment that will literally stop people walking their dogs on the sidewalk right in front of your house.
Plant 8 brings us into late summer, Japanese aconite. Now, true blue is one of the rarest colors in the entire flowering plant world. Most things claiming to be blue are really just purple or lavender. But aconite delivers a deeply saturated electric indigo blue spike from August through October. It's hardy in zones 3 through 7, and it loves partial shade. But I need to give you a very firm warning right here. Every single part of this plant is toxic if ingested. Wear gloves when you handle it, and do not plant this if you have young kids or pets that use the space. But for adult gardeners, it's pretty unmatched.
Plant 9 is the Japanese astilbe. I constantly hear gardeners asking why their astilbe looks like burnt straw by the time August rolls around. Well, it's because they planted in dry, sunny soil. Astilbe absolutely needs moisture. So here is your insider upgrade. Plant it in a large container. When it's in a container kept in partial shade, you are in complete control of the moisture. That constraint creates vast superiority. You get these larger, feathery plumes of white, pink, or lavender rising 18 to 36 inches, blooming beautifully and cleanly for weeks in zones 3 through 8.
Oh, I love this next one. Plant 10 is the Japanese primrose poppy. Experienced gardeners like to call this a volunteer. It basically shows up where it wants to grow, and you know what? It is almost always right. Hardy in zones 6 through 9, it pushes out these clear lemon yellow or warm orange flowers in late spring. It self-seeds so reliably that by year 2, a single plant turns into a dozen, just beautifully scattering themselves in the gaps between your stones or along shaded pathways. It's essentially automatic garden design.
Rounding out the list at plant 11 is the highly versatile Japanese sweet flag, hardy all the way from zones 5 through 11. It gives you 6 to 12 inches of vivid gold-green grass-like foliage that actually stays evergreen in zone 6 and warmer. It multiplies into these dense, weed-suppressing mats in consistently moist soil. Kind of like the forest grass we talked about earlier, it acts as a literal light source in dark corners of your yard. Pair this up with dark purple or dark green plants, and the contrast is immediate, professional, and just stunning.
Section 2. 3 Fatal Mistakes. What kills everything before it even starts?
Right, so knowing the plants is only half the battle. If you're actually going to put these in the ground this June, we need to talk about execution. I want to make sure your investment actually survives year 1. Mistake number 1 is planting in the June heat without establishment irrigation. June soil temperatures are amazing for root growth, but newly planted perennials simply cannot access water fast enough on their own. You absolutely must water them deeply every 3 days for the first 4 weeks. Do not just plant these and walk away, or they're going to die, and I promise you it won't be the plant's fault. Let's look at mistakes 2 and 3 a bit closer.
Mistake 2, aggressive fall cleanups. Remember, these plants dropped their seeds in late summer. Those seeds literally need to sit in the cold soil all winter to stratify. If you go in and cut everything to the ground and rake it all thoroughly in October, you are quite literally throwing away your free plants and destroying overwintering insect habitats. Leave the spent flower stems standing. Just wait until March to cut them back.
And mistake number 3, using unamended commercial potting mix. Look, commercial mix is engineered to hold moisture. For drought-tolerant plants, sure, that's great. But for Japanese woodland roots like the toad lily or the bleeding heart, it's a death sentence. It causes root rot. You have to amend it. Mix 1 part quality compost with 1 part coarse perlite to create vital structure and drainage. This single amendment completely dictates whether your plant is going to survive its first season. 11 plants, 1 clean June planting window, a permanent yard that fills and multiplies all on its own. The biological window is wide open right now. So my question for you to close out this explainer is this: what state are you gardening in, and which of these 11 plants are you putting in the ground first? Go grab a shovel, make a permanent investment, and leave your answer down in the comments. I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.